Hi everyone, and welcome to Virtue Healthcare. This is our morning movement class. We're going to start our class with some breathing, followed by some mobility, and then we're going to finish out our class with some more dynamic movement that'll help you kick off your day. You won't need anything but your body for this workout, so let's get started.
Starting with mindful box breathing for 90 seconds. Focus on full belly inhales and exhales. Lie on your back with your feet planted and knees bent. Place your hand on your belly. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold that breath for 4 seconds. Exhale through your mouth or mouth and nose for 4 seconds, and hold empty for 4 seconds. Repeat this 4-second box twice. Focus on a 360-degree breath, meaning the abdomen and low back expand as you inhale and contract as you exhale. We tend to take shallow breaths most of the time, where our diaphragm doesn't get to move through its full range of motion. Let's repeat that again for a 3-second box twice through. Inhale for 3 seconds, hold for 3 seconds, exhale for 3 seconds, and hold empty for 3 seconds. The diaphragm is the major muscle responsible in breathing, and we can train it to perform better just as we can with any other muscle. Breathing is at the basis of everything we do and usually remains an unconscious process. We think it deserves a moment of conscious practice daily. Now, twice through a 2-second box, followed by twice through a 1-second box. Slower boxes are good for down-regulating the nervous system and bringing on relaxation, where a shorter box is good for up-regulating and feeling energized. Finish off your last 1-second box. Next, transition to all fours for 4 segmented cat-cows. Spread your fingers wide and tuck your toes. Stack your shoulders over hands and hips over knees. With a neutral spine to start, begin tucking your tailbone and rounding or flexing your lumbar spine while keeping the rest of the spine neutral. Then begin to flex the next set of vertebrae of the thoracic spine slowly. Finally, rounding the cervical spine 1 inch at a time, allowing your head to drop and relax. Then reverse this pattern to extend the spine. Begin again at your sacrum and begin to untuck your pelvis, arching or extending the lower back 1 vertebra at a time. Moving to the mid-back, continue to bring the thoracic spine into extension, followed by the cervical spine, looking forward gently but not craning the neck back too much. Segmented means we're going to focus on articulating each vertebra independently from the next, waving slowly into flexion and extension of the spine. The challenge is moving one part of the spine while not moving the other parts. See how slowly and segmented you can go. Cat-cows are often performed where the entire spine moves as a unit. Doing them this way is a great practice in motor control, coordinating your body, and keeping your joints healthy and moving well. Inhale and exhale with intention and control. Remain on all fours for hip C.A.Rs. We will be completing 1 set of 8 per leg, 4 per direction. C.A.Rs is an acronym that stands for Controlled Articular Rotations, and, like the name suggests, we will be working on moving our hips through their full range of motion in a slow and controlled way. Since we want to isolate the hip movement, it's important to keep your hips and shoulders parallel with the ground as you work. Keep your knee bent as you bring one leg into hip extension. You should feel your glute contract when doing so. Stop before your lower back begins to arch. Slowly point your knee outward, moving into hip abduction and flexion, returning to the starting position. Reverse this pathway, bringing your hip into flexion, then abduction, then extension, and then reset. Be sure to keep both elbows locked and hands and shoulders pressing the floor away actively. Keep tension in your core throughout. Breathe intentionally and with control. This is an example of an active mobility exercise where you have to work against resistance, in this case gravity, to increase your range. An example of a passive mobility exercise would be something like pigeon stretch, in which you're working with gravity to hold a position. Here, we are focusing on developing strength, ownership, and mastery in the end ranges of your hip movement. As the great Charles Poliquin always said, strength is gained in the range it is trained. Next up, we are going to work on our ankle mobility in spelling the alphabet in big capital letters with our ankles. It will be similar to C.A.Rs in that we want to have intentional control over our movement and work to find the maximal ends of our range of motion. You can do this seated on the floor like Mike is here, or on a chair. Isolate the ankle by supporting with one arm tucked under your knee and the other holding your shin in position. We want all the movement occurring at the ankle, preventing the rest of the leg from following suit. You could get creative and spell your full name, or pets' names, or favorite Harry Potter spell, but we will be working each side for 1 minute. Focus on what you're feeling. Are there any restrictions? What do you notice? You're interacting with your nervous system and practicing motor control. Since we live a large portion of our lives in the sagittal, or forward and up and down plane of motion, our ankle joints usually don't get to go through other motions other than dorsi and plantar flexion, such as when we walk or run. Dorsiflexion is when you pull your toes towards your shin, and plantar flexion is when you point your toes away from your shin. Our ankles can do other movements as well. Moving your joints through all of their possible ranges of motion will allow you to help prevent injuries that could occur due to a lack of mobility. Or maybe you've already experienced an ankle injury and would like to improve your strength and mobility in this area. We want our bodies to have access to a variety of positions. Think of building a movement library within your body that you can call upon anytime you need a move. Stay seated on the floor or chair, or come to a kneeling position if you like. For the next minute, we will be doing 10 slow neck circles, alternating directions. Feel free to close your eyes as you do this and pair it with some slow breathing. Again, as in previous exercises, the slower you move, the better. You'll be able to feel every little inch of the movement and be able to assess where you might be feeling more tension. Tilt one ear down towards the same shoulder and begin to tuck your chin and drop it towards your chest as you roll over to the other side. You can tilt your chin up and lengthen the throat and scalenes on each side. Explore as much of the circle as you like. Think about rotating your head on your cervical spine instead of hinging at your neck. Keep your shoulders and face relaxed throughout. Don't force anything. Be very gentle with your movement. Next, we will be working on shoulder C.A.Rs. Again, this acronym stands for Controlled Articular Rotations. We will complete 8 per arm, 4 in each direction, alternating directions. Try to move your arm with the same slow speed throughout the entire range of motion. If it feels sticky, move slower in that area. The shoulder is a ball and socket joint, meaning that the arm or humeral head has the ability to move in all directions in the socket, or glenohumeral fossa. However, when we don't practice these ranges of motion, they get smaller over time, placing restrictions on how we can and cannot move. When we bring the arm in front of us, this is called shoulder flexion. Do this with your palm facing your midline. Towards the top of your reach, begin to rotate your palm to face away from your midline. Here we are moving through shoulder abduction, and then when our arm is behind us, that is called shoulder extension. Alternate between going from flexion, abduction to extension, and then reverse it. Extension, abduction, and flexion. Your palm will start and end facing your midline. Try to keep your arm as close to your body as you can while working through this exercise. Also focus on keeping your shoulders and hips square to the front, as your chest will want to rotate as you work. We are looking to isolate the shoulder in this exercise, so we want to avoid other compensatory movements the body might want to do naturally. Make your way to standing. Let's practice some more dynamic movement that involves coordination and stability. We will be completing 4 inchworms to alternating side planks. Hinge at your hips, bend your knees generously, and bring your hands to the floor. Walk your hands out until you get to a high plank position. Rotate your body as a unit into a side plank on each side. Walk your feet up towards your hands. Press your feet into the floor and stand. Focus on minimizing the amount of tilting or shifting your body does as you walk your hands out into your front plank. Push the ground away actively through your hands and shoulders to increase strength and stability. Spread your fingers wide as you work to increase surface area and improve stability, which is very handy, get it, when you are in the side planks. Focus on shifting your hips and shoulders simultaneously from your front plank to side plank and back. Usually the hips want to lead and the shoulders follow second. Lift your hips high in your side planks. It's okay to have some rounding in your spine as you reach to the floor and stand, but continue to focus on sitting your hips back and bending your knees to bring more length to your hamstrings. Finish off your last repetition and prepare for our last exercise. Lastly, we will complete 4 repetitions on each side of a reverse lunge with trunk rotation to single leg hip flexion with trunk rotation. Cross your hands on opposite shoulders. Step back into a lunge and rotate toward your leading leg. Step up into a single leg hip flexion and rotate towards your lifted leg. Keep your knees in line with your toes straight ahead. Focus on 3 points of contact in your non-stepping foot: the pad of your big toe, the outside of your sole, and your heel, maintaining an active arch. This will be very helpful in your ability to stabilize yourself through both parts of the movement. Keep your core engaged throughout. Great job. Now that you're all warmed up, dance your way to a great day.
Thank you for joining our morning movement video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and feel free to share with any friends or family. Join the Virtue community by subscribing to the channel. We'll be posting weekly videos. If you want to work with us in person, feel free to check out our many virtual offerings at our website, which we'll have linked in the description below. See you soon.